Good morning, everyone. For more than 100 years, Women of Reform Judaism has worked to strengthen the voice of women worldwide and empower them to create caring communities. WRJ advocates for and promotes progressive values, and we ensure that women make a difference in the world. These are the same values that Senator Elizabeth Warren has championed throughout her career. As an academic at Harvard, as the first acting director of the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, and since 2013, as a senator from Massachusetts. Though she might not use this exact phrase, Senator Warren has been indefatigable in her commitment to the values of tikkun olam, repair of the world. She is, after all, the person about whom it was said, nevertheless, she persisted. And persist, absolutely she has, against unscrupulous lenders who leave borrowers further in a cycle of debt, against human trafficking, against those who would take advantage of veterans, for the rights of workers, for the safety of our military service members, and for financial literacy education.
As a longtime leader right here in Massachusetts, and now as the director of the Religious Action Center of Reform Judaism, I have had the privilege to work directly with Senator Warren and witness her in action, as she has been a champion for the poor and for working families. She is generous with her knowledge and with her time, often meeting with our teen participants in the Bernard and Audrey Rappaport Litaken social justice seminars. And though well known for her expertise on domestic issues, Senator Warren has also been a true friend when it comes to issues of Israel's well-being and security. We are so thrilled that Senator Elizabeth Warren is here this morning. Please join us in welcoming her to the stage. Please meet Blair Marks. Blair is the president of our Women of Reform Judaism. It's an honor.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Welcome to Massachusetts. Woo! I am so glad you're here. You know, we're a spirited group. As a United States Senator, I want to thank you for your leadership in civic life of your communities. And as a progressive, I want to thank you for your contributions to social justice. And as a Methodist, I want to thank you for inviting me to take part in this celebration. Thank you. You know, I know that this biennial isn't just a party, although Rabbi Jacobs has a way of turning pretty much any gathering into a party. So count me in, Rabbi, I'm ready to go. You know, the fact is, we come together at a difficult time in our history. We are grappling with profound challenges as we figure out what kind of a country we want to build and what kind of a world we will leave for our children. One of those challenges is achieving peace in the Middle East, a challenge thrown back in the spotlight this week by President Trump's announcement about Jerusalem. Now, many of you may not know, but my very first trip abroad as a senator was to Israel and the West Bank. I walked around Jerusalem. I saw firsthand how powerfully important that holy city is to the Jewish people and to Christians and to Muslims. Jerusalem is the capital of Israel, and diplomacy between Israelis and Palestinians should determine the final status of Jerusalem for all parties. I believe that a two-state solution remains the best path to peace for all who live in the Holy Land. I also believe that neither the United States nor any other outside power can impose a solution. And that is why I am very concerned about President Trump's decision, which I believe makes it more difficult to reach that goal. If the president is serious about peace, I urge him to produce a comprehensive strategy to achieve it. That's what American leadership demands. And that's what Israelis and Palestinians deserve. So let us never give up hope for peace, for shalom, and for salam. Yes, this is a difficult moment in our history, but most of us understand that history isn't a river that moves in one direction only. It is a tide that comes in and out. And when we make the choice to devote our lives to something bigger than ourselves, we understand that sometimes it means swimming with the tide, and sometimes it means swimming hard against it. And that's why I'm here today. I want to talk about swimming hard against the tide. Our politics are at high volume right now, but politics have always been charged with emotion, and with good reason. This isn't a game. This is about people's lives. We have always fought hard for what we believe in, and when those beliefs come into conflict, fierce disagreement isn't just acceptable, it is essential. But we used to have parameters within which we fought. We used to have a sense that no matter how differently we thought about any given issue, and no matter how strongly we felt about those differences, we had something fundamental in common, something that would compel us to fight with respect and to help us to repair our divisions when the argument was over, something that could hold us together. And I think we've lost some of that. We've never had a president who gleefully attacks American citizens and attacks in ugly personal ways. We've never had a political movement that relies so heavily on undermining our common narrative, our common understanding of something as basic as facts. I just want to say, I never thought we would need a modifier for the word fact. You know, like true facts or facty facts, you know, so they don't get confused with alternative facts. But we've also never seen such a hard push to use our government, to divide us even more into winners and losers, into the rich and everyone else. Now, look at what counts as politics these days. We're arguing about whether it's okay for families to pick up the tab for tax giveaways to giant corporations. We're talking about whether to send young people, dreamers who did nothing wrong, away from the only home they have ever known, to face a future where no one can promise them that they will be safe. And nearly every day, we see the evidence that anti-Semitism has become just one more campaign tactic. But here's the thing. This president has weaponized our divisions like never before, but he didn't create them. Now it comes to us to decide what we're going to do about it. So I've been thinking a lot these days about bankruptcy. Don't worry, I am not breaking any news about my personal finances. No, what I've been thinking about bankruptcy is I've been thinking about how I got involved in policymaking in Washington and what brought me indirectly to the United States Senate. So a long time ago, I was a law professor. I taught a lot of money courses, corporations, contract law, finance, but my research was focused on what was happening to ordinary middle-class Americans, and the story was not good. By the late 1990s, more than 1 million families were going bankrupt every year. I want you to think about that. More kids were growing up in families that had declared bankruptcy than were growing up in families that had declared divorce. So I put together a team of researchers to start collecting some data. I'm a data nerd, I will readily confess. And we started tracking down people all across the country who had declared bankruptcy, and we handed them this one-page form. And on the front side, people would tell us some basic information, like age and sex and marital status and things like that. So you get a basic picture of who was in the bankruptcy courts. And then we'd ask people to just flip the page over and just tell us in their own words what had happened. Tell us your story, how you ended up in bankruptcy court. And it turned out that the majority of people who were filing for bankruptcy were just ordinary middle-class people with ordinary middle-class stories. They'd gotten jobs, they'd gone to college, they'd married, they'd bought a house, a car, they'd had kids, just kind of the standard American story. And then something happened, something really bad. And nearly always, that something was one of three things. Somebody got sick, somebody lost a job, a family broke apart through death or divorce. And suddenly, a life that had seemed so normal and so secure just hurtled out of control. It's not like anyone woke up one morning and thought, today feels like a nice day to mosey on down to the bankruptcy courts and declare bankruptcy. These were folks who had been scratching and clawing to avoid it. They'd taken on extra jobs, they'd cashed in their 401ks, they'd hit up their friends and families and neighbors for loans, they held garage sales every weekend.